In this video, we're going to discuss Amazon's great replacement, where they aim to replace about 600,000 workers with AI, with other forms of automation over the next few years. We're going to cover it in this article here that covers this leaked document. We're going to go through some people's experience when it comes to dealing with layoffs in general. And just for you to know a bit of my background, in the next 12 weeks, I work with my clients over a 12-week coaching program to help them outsmart office politics, increase their salary, and take control over their career, right? I help with automation in terms of understanding automation, understanding AI, understanding where you are in your career and how to really best position yourself to deal with these very difficult situations in the job market right now, right? Because many of these companies, they don't necessarily need you. They're looking for efficiency, right? So it's all about figuring out how the system works to use it to your advantage, right? Now, let's go through this article. So we've got a leaked document, right? It reveals that Amazon aims to replace 600,000 US workers with robots. So just to give a high level overview of the article, what it's saying is that Amazon wants to essentially, set up more AI, more automation, and effectively not hire 600,000 people that they expected to hire in the US between now and 2033, because what they realized is that in effect, they can get it done for a lot cheaper through AI or automation, right? There's lots of leaked documents, some interviews that have leaked, and internal strategy documents that people have got hold of in the media to kind of cover this, right? And it mentions also in the New York Times, there's reports that Amazon wants reports to kind of replace all these jobs, and they think they're going to sell twice as many products over that period. And it really does make me think they think they're going to sell twice as many products but not be a major contributor to the workforce. And this is what you see time and time again in a lot of these companies. They're giving so many layoffs. It's like you're not going to have people who are going to be buying products anymore, because people are just going to essentially not have enough money, and they're just going to be buying what they can and what they need to survive rather than buying pointless consumer goods on Amazon. And I think this is probably a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, 600,000 jobs that they're going to replace by AI in the next, 5 to 8 years seems a bit unrealistic. But I think it is a trend that is kind of worrying, and it's worthwhile paying attention to as how that could impact your job. There's probably some exaggeration there, like I say. Now, when we go back through this clip,
I need you to do 3 things for me. Number 1, you have to follow up every time that you apply for a job. 90% of people don't, which is why they don't hear back. You need to make sure that you are finding someone within the organization that can flag your application. Remember that the system that your resume goes into is a very big black hole. And unless someone knows that your application is there, you're never going to see it. Which leads me to rule number 2. You need to be looking for referrals. I wouldn't even be applying for jobs online right now. I would apply as a formality. I would be looking for people at every single company that I want to apply to. Because again, you need some type of human connection. AI and the ATS, that is the system where your resume goes, they're not working for you. And then last but not least, number 3, your resume needs to be stellar. It needs to be super strong. One quick thing that you can do is just cross-reference a job description for something that you plan on applying to. You can ask ChatGPT, or you can do otherwise. But essentially, you want to look for all of the qualifications that are listed there, all of the must-have skills that you need, those keywords. Make sure that your resume has them, because when the ATS is doing that screening, or if the company is using AI to do the screening, that is what they're searching for. They're searching for the keywords. And if you don't have them, again, you're not going to hear back. So yeah, the market is a little bit crazy right now, but you can.
I just wanted to start with that because that's a few clips of decent advice, I would say, in terms of helping your career before we go through this Amazon article with a bit of more information on the layoffs. So I think there's a couple good points there, right? After you do a job interview, it's best to follow up a day later with a quick message saying, oh, thanks for the interview, it went quite well. I was interested in discussing XYZ topic, and I look forward to perhaps moving forward with the interview process if possible. It's just, and mention some of your key skills and how you want to work there. You're quite eager to add those valuable skills to the company. The second thing is about referrals. Yeah, I think it's good to get recruiters that could refer you as a good candidate for the role, and have a discussion with a hiring manager before you even meet them. And then human connection is good. I agree with that. You can send LinkedIn messages to that, try to message junior people or people at a similar level at teams in other companies and share your resume with them. Nothing really can harm that, that human connection that could be built to help you with your career, rather than just think, I'll just apply online, that'll be fine. Other thing about resumes, there's many times I see people who are making significant mistakes in their resumes. So just double check that. I still see people with resumes all the time and I deal with many people when I'm career coaching people, and also in my previous career when I was working in finance and I was reviewing people's resumes. People have tons of mistakes in their resumes. So you just got to make sure that's on point. And the other thing, she makes a good point about comparing your resume to job descriptions, looking at keywords and making sure you're aligned with whatever the hot topic is in your industry. For example, if it's AI, blockchain, some kind of efficiency program, some new government regulation you might need to be aware of, make sure that's on your resume. And then point number 4 is interview skills. I agree with her. Many people need to develop those interview skills. And my point is, you should know about the company, the job role, and not have generic answers. Have a bit of detailed research to show you really do want to work there, because the bar is quite low. Most people are lazy, and you can do better than them if you do a bit of prep work, which is what I help through my coaching.
Observation that I made in the past couple of days, because it's happening at my workplace, is that the economy, or I guess I don't know shit about the economy, let me not start there. I guess unemployment rates are high because these jobs are eliminating positions and they're not replacing people. In my office, when I started, there were 6 people, right? Including the supervisor. So 6 people in total, 5 assistants. And then we're down to like 3 people, and all of those same responsibilities were just delegated to everybody else. And they refuse to rehire people for those positions. So we're getting fucked over, no raise, right? Because they tell us, well, you should look at this as a growing opportunity. Like, I don't care to grow here. Why are you giving me extra responsibilities? This is so good. But yeah, that's something that I've noticed.
Honestly, sometimes I see people like this and I wonder how productive they are in the office. Like, are they just there to be a secretary, to be an assistant? But anyway, she's making a good point here, whereby people are losing their job and they're not effectively getting a replacement for that hire. You're just getting extra work to do. And this is the thing. It's like people are losing their job, or they're keeping their job, and they have to do more work for the same amount of money, right? So having 50% less people and everyone's doing 30% more work is just how it tends to work. Now, and it's just making a fair point here, right? Sometimes it makes sense to take on extra work or projects if it helps grow your career and skills. But often, after a certain point, maybe if you're a mid-level employee or more senior, you kind of don't want to take on more work because you're like, I already know everything and know how things work. Maybe some things are slightly new, but I don't want to take on a bunch of extra work and get paid the same when it's not really going to help me develop my skills and become more hireable in the job market.
I just got laid off about 2 hours ago. I think I'm still shocked. Like, I just can't believe that it happened. There were absolutely no signs from the company that it was going to happen. 9:30, I got a Teams message from my boss asking if I was free, which definitely was kind of weird, but I thought that he wanted to talk about something that we had discussed yesterday. So I was like, yeah, of course I'm free. What's up? And then they dialed me into a video call where my boss was sitting in the office in a conference room with this lady from legal. And they just basically told me I was being let go. And it was super formal, super sterile, which, like, this is why I always say, like, don't give your everything to a company, because when it comes to laying people off, they just fire you like that. I was like pretty shocked, and I kind of got teary-eyed, like borderline was gonna start crying, and I like held it together, and I basically told myself, like, this is my last time where I'm gonna see my boss and be able to ask him any questions and get closure. So I was like, no, I need to like ask him any questions I have. So I basically asked, like, is this a performance thing? Like, I was doing international marketing for them. Like, is international just drying up and that's not going to be a priority anymore? And he basically gave some vague answer, which was like, no, this is like overall the entire company, we're doing layoffs, so you're just one of many. Then they dialed HR in, so HR started going over my severance package, and then they passed me to IT, where like he wiped my computer and had me wipe my phone. Like, the whole process was like 30 minutes. And basically I just started calling my family and texting some of my coworkers, and then I guess I found out that like our entire marketing team, like there were, I think like 35, 40 people. Like, I think there's only like 10 people left. And company-wide, I think they got rid of 20%. But yeah, I've just been sitting here basically for the past like 3 hours processing, talking to people. You guys have any tips? Like, what should I?
She's making a good point here about how you can get caught off guard, particularly when you're working for some of these big corporations. And I always advise you in my videos, you need to pay attention to the signs. What's going on around you? What's the general dynamics? Do you sense things are being generally kind of negative around you? Are you getting less work from your team? Are other people taking over your work on projects? Managers looking to push you out, but sometimes it can really impact you. And she's making a good point here how this can change you forever, right? Because you deal with 1 or 2 layoffs, or even 1 layoff. It's like going through a divorce. And then this will stay with you in your next role. You're like, how you have a level of trauma, which is real, because it's like you always think in your role, oh, can I lose my job again? Or what will I do if I lose my job? Or what will happen if my manager has a problem with me and then I have to deal with another layoff? I need to have other income sources. How am I investing effectively? How am I keeping my cost of living low? And again, this is going to impact the economy overall, because more and more people feel unstable, and less people are going to be consumers and consuming and buying this and buying that. So you're just going to have loads of people just being worried that they're constantly going to be subject to a layoff. She mentions there being 20% layoffs overall at a company. Again, it's not personal, because so many people are losing their jobs. Some people who are good at their job are losing their job. It's not a performance thing. Often it's a favoritism thing, right? The manager will just pick their favorites and get rid of others. Now, like I say, if you look out for signs, people being distant, awkward, manager dodging your one-to-one meetings, those are the things that are signs that maybe things aren't going in your direction, right? If you're doing more work for the same amount of time, it's worthwhile looking out for that. People end up kind of demoralized and overworked, and it's not sustainable the way things are heading.
Get out. How are we supposed to get by in this country? I mean, we can't even get a corporate job. You can't even work a regular 9-to-5 job because it's not enough to pay for anything. And then they tell you to, go back to school, or, just work harder, or, just network better. It's like, bro, there's nothing left. There's nothing left to do. You want to get in AI? Everyone's getting laid off. You want to get in banking? Everything is getting automated. You want to get in tech? Same thing. Everyone's getting laid off. What industry is bulletproof? You can't even join the government anymore. It's almost to a point where, like, if you're not a first responder, your job is not guaranteed. If you're not in the military, your job is not guaranteed. And even then, with the government shutdown, these people are not even getting paid to go to work. You got FAA controllers, you got military, but the senators are getting paid. So it's like, what do you expect the younger people to do? Even people in their 30s and 40s who have gotten laid off, what are they gonna do? They can't upskill and reskill? To what? And I just don't understand, what is the end goal of all of this AI? What is the end goal of this? You're not even gonna have any customers. They're not gonna have any money. So it's like, universal basic income is gonna have to become a standard here, because no one's gonna have any money. No one's gonna have any health insurance. I don't understand what these CEOs are thinking. Are they thinking 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line? It doesn't seem like it. So I don't really know what they expect us to do. What are we supposed to side hustle ourselves to death and go do DoorDash and Uber Eats after our 10-hour shift? Come on, man. This place is falling apart.
He's making a lot of good points, right? Firstly, I say about UBI, right? It's a possibility, but I wouldn't just, go, they'll definitely introduce UBI. I mean, what you're going to do in between now and then when they potentially could. But also, UBI is not going to be a favorable thing. It's going to limit your freedom. They're going to limit what you can and can't say. They're going to track everything you spend your money on, like food stamps and things like that. I would say instead, choose not to give up. The media's kind of here to scare you and here to scare the hoes and scare the bros. So I would definitely avoid these kind of blackpilling, doom scrolling type of activity, right? Now, he's making another good point there about there's being government layoffs, right? I'm going to cover this in upcoming videos. In the UK, there's 50,000 layoffs for government employees, 100,000 for government employees or more in the US too. So there's tons of layoffs there. And then on top of that, you've got social instability at the lower end, right? I think that's going to increase. You're going to have more kind of people protesting in the streets. People just feel like they have no option and they can't move forward. And now I just want to react to this because I had a post I put on my YouTube. If you check the post section, the community section or post section, I put this here. It says, at this point, I'm convinced that most doom and gloom headlines about the future are simply predictive programming. They're trying to get you to accept a dystopian reality. Refuse to let them to poison your mind. Keep things high vibrations, positive thoughts, and pursue your goals. It's an information war, a war for your mind. Shout out to InfoWars and Alex Jones. Yes, there are difficult times we're living in, but despair and fear are of the enemy. That is part of the illusion. Don't let them drown you in negativity. It's part of the agenda. And I've got 33 likes on this, so the Mason number. But the point there is, what have you thought about in terms of your life future, because many people are just seeing a negative future. Everything's going to get worse and worse and terrible, and I think there is a possibility that could happen, but I don't let this system continually poison my mind with negativity at every moment. Oh, everything's terrible, it's just going to get worse, there's going to be a global conflict, all the jobs are going to get automated. I just feel like, how does that really help you on a day-to-day basis? Instead, you should focus at personal solutions that can actually work well for you, right? Individual solutions. That's why I always talk about, throughout my career coaching and through everything I say, is about being a freedom-focused man. I've got primarily a male audience, but even if you're a woman, you have to think about all the small changes you can make in your life to make your life actually worth living and more effective, whether it's becoming more independent and off the grid and focused on your financial freedom, whatever that would be. Now, going back to this article, I just want to summarize kind of key things it's saying here rather than go through it word for word. So essentially, it's talking about it wants to, make more products and hire less people, right? So the way I'd see it is that what they want to do is they want to automate about 75% of their manual operations and automate a lot of that. They want to fire about 160,000 employees, which is a really crazy high number. And also what they want to do, like you can see, eliminating 160,000 jobs by 2027. And what they also want to do is basically replace a lot of people with AI, in the sense that what they're trying to do is maintain a good public image. So here it says, Amazon reportedly knows there'll be inevitable backlash against the job losses. So what the executives have considered doing is getting involved in community projects, which is quite funny because, anytime you work for a company, they have a CSR department, corporate social responsibility, whereby they spend some of their profits in the local community. And this is typically what will happen. There'll be like hundreds of thousands of layoffs. And at the same time, they'll be like, oh, we're doing more work to help the local community. There'll be like a poor neighborhood that can't buy anything, and they go there and donate a bit of money to the school. It's the typical PR nonsense. They've already considered avoiding direct terms such as AI and automation. They prefer terms like advanced technology or using a cobot where robots are working alongside humans. Again, all of this is about sugarcoating the negative impacts they're having on society, right? Less people with less jobs, a lower birth rate, less of a middle class. They're just basically creating all these fake lies and manipulation to cover how this system or the elite is making life more difficult for most people. Here it says here, the documents were incomplete and they don't talk about our overall hiring strategy, right? So this is the thing. I think there's a fair point where this is a bit of an exaggeration. This might be this particular scenario, but things could go in the other way. They might end up hiring more later down the line when they need more people to kind of support AI. But I think the overall trend is less and less people working. But at the same time, you've got a reducing birth rate. So I do think those two things could line up rather than it just being a case of millions of people being out of work and they can never find a job and they have to rely on government handouts. Here we've got someone who's a Nobel Prize winner. They say that nobody has the same incentive as Amazon to find a way to automate. Once they figure out how to automate profitably, it'll spread to other products. If Amazon succeeds as destroying lots of jobs through automation, many other jobs will do it, right? And then there'll be a net job destroyer rather than a net job creator. And that's kind of funny to say, but this is what's happening with corporations. And many of them are like, how can we ruthlessly screw over people who've been working for us for years? And in a sense, screw over the countries that have been creating an infrastructure that allows them to succeed by basically removing the jobs, removing the middle class and things like that. Now, if you're dealing with these difficult dynamics, you can see here what we've got in terms of people losing hope. You've got my post which is saying that some of this will happen, but, have a measured response. Don't be all black-pilled about it and doom and gloom. Think about how you can plan ahead, whether it's reskilling or thinking about different career opportunities for you out there right now. Because a lot of this will be a longer-term game plan. It's not like immediate in many cases. Now, I help my clients, like I say, over a 12-week program to help them get started to outsmart office politics, increase their freedom, and take control of their career, right? And these automation plans may prove to be true over time. It might take a bit longer than expected, but you need to really focus on being efficient with your steps now for your own survival, really, right? To use the system to your advantage. I show you how to future-proof your career ahead of 2026 when the job market will get worse and, of course, be a more tougher economy to deal with. So the earlier you get started, the better. Link in description to speak with me. 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, and I'll see you next time.